spectacular bicycle kick from Sam Dolby to give Wanderers a 2-goal cushion. They lead by 3 goals to 1. And Wembley, at the moment, unexpectedly, is a wall of white from the Bolton Wanderers supporters away to my right-hand side. County though with the possession, out towards the left-hand side. Here's the substitute, Mothersill. Big challenge that came in from Christie. Throw into Stockport County, taken quickly. And everything now, Liam Hogan, that County have to do, they have to do it pretty smart.
Yeah, you can see they put Carl Wootton up there just to try and get some opportunity to put balls in the box and use his physicality, and obviously second top goal scorer this year, try and get him in between them sticks to try and get them a goal away and try and make it a little bit nervy for Bolton. But the size of each individual Bolton player has just shot up by another foot. Every single challenge, every single header. You didn't see any of that in the first half, and you could just see the relief from that, and probably from having Sam Dalby on the pitch, because there's a saying that we say in football, you're only as good as your forward players. They're the ones who clinch the game for you. The back players, you know, they've got to do their bit, but if you've got a real threat up front, which Stockport had in the first half in Sidibe, they were as good as Sidibe was. Bolton have been as good as what Sam Dalby has. And listen, he's not been on the pitch long and he's not had loads of action, but what he's done, he's been a physical presence. He's gave Ethan Pye probably the last 10-15 minutes, the hardest he's had all season. He's just playing up against him, being a man. I used to play against Sam Dalby when he was first at Southend, and he was just maturing a little bit. He went on to Wrexham and he was a different physical specimen when I've seen him then. I've obviously seen him again since he's been at Bolton, and he's a massive, massive part of going forward, how that Bolton can play, and what a player he can have at the top end of the pitch. And like I said, George Johnson and Farini would have been thrilled to see Sidibe go off, but they would have been even more thrilled to see Sam Dalby do some of the bits that he's done so far, which gets them up the pitch. And listen, they're pretty much there. They've nearly done it.
Well, the players again have taken a water break, so there will be lots of time still to come. But Wanderers, you feel, are still on the verge here. Stockport County with a throw-in to restart the game down the right-hand side, the left-hand side, I beg your pardon, into the edge of the penalty area. Wooten is well forward now for County, no surprise with that. Here comes Stockport attacking the Wanderers penalty area. Bolton have picked up the possession again. Sissoko up to the halfway line, looking for a step over, lays it off for McAtee. Bolton on the counter, early ball into the penalty area, defended pretty well in the end, poked over the touchline by Ethan Pye, throw into Bolton Wanderers. And that is the gamble now that County simply have to take. They were almost exposed at the back there, a better delivery from McAtee, and he might have produced a fourth for Bolton, but they'll be happy, the Wanderers, at the moment. So too will those supporters. They are preparing to celebrate a playoff final win. Throw into Bolton. Christie, Cozier Dewberry, back out to Christie eventually. That came from McAtee. Cozier Dewberry, little bit of footwork, takes him inside the penalty area. McAtee crosses far post, overhit. Although Sissoko will benefit and win the race and retain the possession for Bolton, but he's picked up again by County, and an important block there from Josh Sheehan. County pinging out towards this left-hand side again. Mothersill over the halfway line, racing towards the edge of the Wanderers penalty area. Challenge comes in, County retain the possession, but whatever Stockport do now, it's got to be done with great urgency. There's going to be 8 minutes of stoppage time for the added time. County, left-hand side of the penalty area, deep cross, far pass, header comes in. In fact, everybody's missed it. Out for a throw-in on the far side of the field. A throw-in to Bolton Wanderers, who can breathe slightly more easily. They lead by 3 goals to 1. And you can almost see, Keith Hill, now some of the energy sapping away from the players.
Yeah, and I think Liam spoke about it. There's a lot of risk going on, a lot of risk in the way that they're playing Stockport to try and get that second goal. But Bolton's confidence, the energy has been boosted by that third goal, and basically Stockport are giving Bolton everything they need with the players that they have on the pitch. They're giving them the space. They're sitting a little bit deeper, and they're absorbing a little bit of pressure, and then they're counter-attacking, and they're leaving players higher up the pitch. But at the minute they've got the right balance, Bolton, with respect to what Stockport are trying to do. They're not giving them any small opportunities, and they're managing the time, the clock really well. And Stephen Schumacher, he'll be making sure from the side that he makes sure that the levels of concentration are high.
The referee's just checking a potential penalty here for Bolton Wanderers. He's been encouraged to look at the screen. I think it was a challenge on Sissoko, and I think Liam Hogan, you've been watching this very closely.
I just think there was a bit of a tussle in the box between Dacres Cogley and Sissoko, and we're just wondering whether he's just grabbed the hair of Sissoko as he's sort of put pressure on him. Obviously we've seen the incidents over the last couple of weeks with the
here comes the decision at 3 goals to 1. And it's a penalty to Bolton Wanderers. Well, that was a grab of the hair on Ibrahim Sissoko. Well, this will completely, and a red card as well for Dacres Cogley, the former Bolton Wanderers player, sent off in the very closing stages. And Keith Hill, a penalty for Wanderers.
Yeah, penalty for Wanderers. As soon as it was awarded, I'm looking at Stephen Schumacher in his technical area. He's just asking the players to remain calm. He wants them to be organised. He wants them to stay in control emotionally. You know, everybody conceivably could suggest that Bolton have won this game. They've got a penalty to take. He's looking at the defensive structure of the team while they're taking the penalty.
And there's no doubt about the penalty. I've just seen a replay, and there was a pull of the hair by Dacres Cogley. Who's on the penalty here, Keith Hill?
It looks like Rodriguez.
It is.
Oh, well, listen, he might be giving it to somebody. No, he's not giving it to anybody. It looks like he wants it.
Well, no doubt when the referee was sent to the screen, and it's Ruben Rodriguez against Corey Adai. This to propel Bolton Wanderers back into the championship from the penalty spot. Wanderers lead 3-1 at the moment. Ruben Rodriguez dancing on the line is the county keeper, Adai, who might concede for the 4th time this afternoon. Rodriguez! 4-1! A back flip to celebrate! The penalty and power placement! Perfection from the penalty spot! And Wanderers return to the championship. They lead Stockport County by 4 goals to 1.
Listen, and what I love about that penalty, Jack, is not that Ruben Rodriguez scored it, is Stephen Schumacher is setting his team up for if Stockport save it. So he's got his defensive responsibility. He's looking at his defensive cell to make sure that he don't get done on the counter-attack. They're winning 3-1. They scored a penalty, it's 4-1. Game over. Well done, Bolton Wanderers. Enjoy the championship.
Liam Hogan, I don't think anybody at half-time, or maybe the opening 20 minutes of the second half, could have possibly predicted a scoreline like the one we have at the moment.
No, like I said, Stockport were in the ascendancy. They were pushing the Bolton players back as a group, and they looked weary, they looked wilted, and it was a moment where Sidibe went through on goal, and he's not quite given himself enough angle to shoot. George Johnson blocks the shot, and I think from that moment on, there was a big lift from the Bolton players, and they've utilised the change from Sam Dalby. I have to highlight him, but Sissoko's been just as impressive as well in his contributions. That obviously, yeah, Stockport feel aggrieved they've been done by 2 VAR decisions, but on the day they're the right decisions. So listen, they'll be so disappointed that the game's got 4-1, because he didn't have that written all over it from the start, not at all.
County fire it forward again. Farino first up, edge of the Bolton penalty area, bounces down. Wanderers are on the break again here. They're looking for a 5th. Crozier Dewberry, 2 to take on. Rolls the ball further forward. Here comes McAtee into the penalty area. Corner to Bolton Wanderers, and we're going to finish this playoff final with a real flourish. They lead by 4 goals to 1. We've got 5 minutes of the added on 8 of stoppage time. And I don't think anybody in this stadium could have predicted this scoreline we have at the moment, with Wanderers clearly now on their way back to the championship, and their supporters behind the goal are preparing for a night and maybe a few days of celebration. Short corner routine, throwing though goes away of Stockport County, and they are right on the verge here, Bolton Wanderers. A brilliant overhead kick from Dolby made it 3-1. And we mustn't forget the part that VAR decisions have played in this final. Remember, Stockport had a goal ruled out after a VAR inspection, and Bolton were then given a penalty. But when you see the replay, there's no doubt about it, the penalty decision was the right one. Dacus Cogley red carded for his part, and Bolton now are just getting ready. Sam Dolby comes over to the touchline to speak to the referee, Liam Hogan.
Yeah, he's just been given man of the match. Not been on the pitch literally as much as some of his teammates, but the impact that he's had, we talk about what goes on in between the 18-yard boxes, possession build-up, direct play. Ultimately, you just got to do the stuff inside the 18-yard box, and since Sam Dalby's been on, he's caused so many problems for the Stockport Town defenders. And listen, what a goal as well. He backs in, overhead kick, what a way. I mean, if you dream just to play at Wembley, but listen, if you're a kid, you're going to think about scoring an overhead kick in the final to get your team into the championship. Absolutely. He's just smashed it. Well played.
It's the stuff of dreams, isn't it, to score a goal like that at Wembley, Keith Hill?
It certainly is, there's no question about that. But you've got to congratulate Stephen Schumacher. The game was 1 each. The first half, probably, majority of it belonged to Stockport. They started the second half well. But his substitutions and his tactical awareness has won Bolton the game.
30 seconds of the added on 8 remaining. Bolton lead 4-1. Sissoko challenged and beaten. Stockport County come away with the ball. Jack Diamond challenged again. Over the touchline it goes. Brace yourself for a big Bolton celebration, folks. That is on its way. Referee has checked his watch. We've had 8 minutes of added on time. There cannot be too long left, because we're now into time added on. Whilst we've been playing added on time, long punt downfield from the county keeper Adai, powerfully headed away, not for the first time this afternoon, by Chris Farino. It has all come good for Bolton in the final 20 minutes, and it's all gone sour for Stockport during that same 20-minute period. Wanderers with the possession. Referee has had another look at his watch. Ball played back to Jack Bonham, who just tickles it forward for Cyrus Christie. They've done it in the heat, and they've done it the hard way through the playoffs, Bolton Wanderers. And they've done it with an absolutely spectacular third goal from Sam Dolby, his 14th of the season, and arguably, no question about it, simply the most important goal he's scored all season. Crozier Dewberry lays it across. McAtee, long ball out to Sissoko, just too far in front of him. It won't matter. The ball goes out of play. The referee is preparing to bring the game to its conclusion. Bolton are leading by 4 goals to 1. Far more importantly than that, they're on their way back to the championship. It will be commiserations to County, but congratulations to Bolton. Although nobody would have predicted this, I don't think, at the halfway stage. Here comes Stockport County with a bit of a final flourish just outside the Wanderers penalty area. Now they're moving over towards the right-hand touchline. The ball's got to go in the box, surely, from Stockport County. It might do now. Towards the edge of the penalty area, looking for 1-2. Can they get the shot away? Was that a foul? Cleared away by Bolton Wanderers, and that might be the last opportunity for Stockport County. We've played now almost 10 minutes of added on time. Ball into the penalty area. Bonham catches comfortably, capably and confidently, and he won't be in a hurry to do very much at all. County player is down injured, and the referee goes just to check whether or not any of these players need treatment. Bolton right on the precipice now of a return. Who knows? They're one division away from the Premier League now, Keith Hill.
Yeah, you're right with that, Jack, but I feel as though that's loaded with pressure. When you consider where Bolton have been and what they've been through over the last 5 or 6 years, this is success. This is what success looks like. Now, there's got to be continual progress. The aim is stabilisation, make sure they're financially solid before they even contemplate the next steps.
That's it! Bolton are back in the championship, and they've done it in sensational style at Wembley with a 4-1 win over Stockport County. Congratulations to County. Celebrations and congratulations to Bolton Wanderers. They almost went out of business 7 years ago. They went down into the doldrums of League Two. They won promotion at the first time of asking, back to League One. It's taken some time for the Wanderers, but they are back in the Championship with a 4-1 win at Wembley against Stockport County. Let the celebrations for the Wanderers supporters begin.
Bravo, Bolton Wanderers. A blistering second half to blow away their rivals and book their place back in the Championship. And the celebrations not only taking place on the pitch, but in the stands in front of us. I see several young kids on the shoulders of their fathers partying. They've got the ear guards on for the noise, but this is a day they will remember for the rest of their lives. I was there when Bolton got back to the Championship, and you have to say, Stephen Schumacher, masterclass in the second half. He got everything right, didn't he, Keith Hill, in the end?
He certainly did. You know, in that moment when the game was 1 each, he made the first decision, tactical decision. He went 4-2-4, put Rodriguez deeper, you know, alongside Sheehan. But what he did do with putting Dolby on, he gave a real threat in that front line down the centre of the pitch. And that caused a lot of problems for Wooten and Ethan Pye. You know, and they certainly took advantage. You've got to say that Stephen Schumacher and Dolby in particular, they changed the game. There's no question about that. To the advantage where Bolton won 4-1 in the end and are now back in the Championship.
You can feel the moment, the energy and the belief was sucked out of Stockport County, but Bolton did not relent until that final whistle. They had the bit between their teeth and driven on by Dalby. And moments in matches that will live for years and years, and an overhead kick to end any doubt is one heck of a way to do it, and Dalby delivers.
Unbelievable finish for a guy that's literally spent most of this game. Obviously you want to come to and make a start, you want to be the first player on the pitch in the starting 11, but he knows in that moment he's going to be vitally important when he does come on the pitch. And I'll also give a special mention as well to Sissoko and McAtee as well that came on. Listen, we talk about footballers being technically really good or not, they just ran. They had a physical presence, they pinned their opposition and they made it difficult. The cross that came in the box for Sam Dalby's had 2 contacts, Bolton, Sam Dalby finish. If you'd have said about that early on in the game, Stockport's physicality was so obvious to see, you probably wouldn't have imagined Bolton to get ahead on any of them. 2 players go and commit. I think it was Johnson and I think it's McAtee that get the 2 contacts. And Dalby scores an absolute worldie of an overhead kick. But without them 2 moments before that overhead kick, the desire to go and get your head on something where you could get yourself tackled, get yourself hurt, the massive difference in the stature of the players from those moments, backed up by this crowd, was always going to be so difficult to play against. And Stockport looked like they had nothing left.